If you're not aware, AEW is a newer wrestling promotion that's been around for about 5 years or so, and they just keep growing and growing, so much so that next month they're actually going to run a show in Wembley Stadium, and it's looking like they might actually sell out the whole thing. Now, about a year and a half into the company being formed, they announced they were actually going to make their own game, and the idea behind the game was to go back to No Mercy and make a game that just focuses on the fun and doesn't really care about the kind of simulation graphics that the 2K games are known for. Now, I've been burnt before with an indie promotion saying they're going to make a No Mercy style game. I mean, this ICW game was meant to come out almost 8 years ago, and it's just been silently cancelled, which is sad because this would have been the first video game that features the garage in Glasgow. However, the AEW game had reputable developers on it. This game was developed by Yuke, who actually made all of the WWE games that you can think of going back to the 2000s, and they made No Mercy. So if you're wanting someone to make a No Mercy style game, there's no one better to get than Yuke. And Yuke's last game for WWE was 2K19, and we all know how 2K20 turned out. Now, from what I could find, the game doesn't have a dedicated tutorial or anything like that. You basically just have pop-ups while you're playing that teach you things, which I don't think are great because I feel like I didn't know what I was doing for the most part. So these first few matches were just trying to learn like the game and stuff like that. And after the first match, I got 3 trophies by accident basically. One for beating your first opponent, one for submitting an opponent, and one for beating an opponent after hitting your finisher. Then I jumped into the Casino Battle Royale mode, just because I feel like this is a good way to kind of learn the controls because there's so much going on. And you can kind of put and mash and see what happens. And also if you go out, you can just come back in as another wrestler and kind of get to learn their moves as well. And yeah, even without a tutorial, it was still quite easy to pick up. There's a lot of button prompts on the screen. And in this Battle Royale, we kicked out 10 opponents, which got us a trophy as well. We didn't end up winning that match, but I was still learning. Now there's only really one mode in this game other than Exhibition, and it's basically just a career mode where you can kind of make decisions. To do that, first we had to create our own guy, and I was very tempted to go with the Tetsuya Naito here, but then it just didn't feel right, so I went to something that just fits me better. And I was actually quite disappointed in the creative wrestler options, just because I feel like that was like one of the selling points of this game. There just aren't that many options at this point. They have said they're going to update the game, but I don't know, I'm not going to come back to this in like a year's time, am I? Like to make a new guy. But yeah, pretty much just in every category there weren't that many options. Like you can't even wear a t-shirt in the ring, which I thought was weird because like some people do that. There's a bunch of these flag shorts and t-shirts and stuff like that, but it's like who's going to wear that? And also there's no Scotland one, so what's the point? I ended up buying this suit, but it was so hard to actually put on. Like I understand how there could be a lack of parts because of like dev time and stuff like that, but even just the experience of actually making a character is like not great. It's just so hard to go through the menus. Eventually just gave up. I found this COVID mask and I thought it'd be funny to wear that in the ring. Then again, when I was making my moveset, I had a similar issue. I was looking for the big boot because I wanted that as my signature, and I just couldn't find it, and there was no way to like search by like type of move, like a kick or anything like that. It's all just alphabetical, so there's no big boot, and I was thinking, is it a K? Is it a kick? Is it like a running kick? Like I just couldn't find it, and it was so annoying. I ended up just going with like the default moveset because I just couldn't be bothered to go through the menus. One thing that I do think is cool, they have a lot of options for the entrance music. They have a lot of wrestlers' themes that aren't actually in the game, like the Acclaimed. They even have these 8-bit versions of the themes, like this version of Kingdom, which is just like, you know, like they didn't need to do this is just cool stuff. And it's even cooler because you can't actually use Kingdom in 2K23 this year. You can only use it if you actually play as Cody. I was having a hard time choosing my theme, and I decided there was only one option. The greatest weekly wrestling TV show, Rampage. That would be our theme. Let's go. I love this idea of having effects during your entrance. So the way this works, you can set these effects to a face button, and then during the entrance you can push it and that effect will happen. So it would actually allow you to create custom entrances that you could change on the fly. So for example, you could use a different one for a pay-per-view. You might notice these challenges pop up as I play. You need to get 30 of these for a trophy, and I basically just got most of them naturally, so I wouldn't worry about them too much. And there's easy daily challenges you can do to kind of speed that process along. I just wanted to get the creative trophies out of the way while I was here, so I made a custom arena, made a custom team, then won a match in the arena, won a match with the team. Now it's time to check out the Road to Elite mode, which is basically the career mode in the game. You need to play this a total of 10 times for the Platinum, so we're going to be talking about this mode a lot in this video. But in my first playthrough, I played as my created wrestler to give it a more personal feel. In the first part of the story was Tony Khan inviting us to Double or Nothing to compete in the Casino Battle Royale, and if we won, we would get a title shot. This mode is also almost like a showcase mode as well, because it does mimic some of the storylines that actually happen in real life, and every once in a while it will show you these documentary style videos explaining a bit more about what you're about to play, which I think is cool to get newer fans up to speed. But as someone who's been watching since the start of AEW, it's actually just cool to see these anyway. So like I said, our first match was the Casino Battle Royale, and we got the 2 of spades, which determined our position in the match. At this point I still wasn't sure of the controls, so it was quite hard, but we did manage to eliminate Eddie Kingston. We managed to get Darby out as well, but that's where our luck ended. And then Daddy basically just dominated us and eliminated us so easily. So because we lost, we got put in the Unlikely Partnership storyline, which is all about winning the tag team titles. So just some background on the actual mode itself. Each playthrough is split up into 4 blocks, and each block is split up into 4 weeks, 3 dynamics and 1 pay-per-view. And in each week, you can complete 4 actions before you progress to the match, and go to the next week. The dining option will give you some energy back. The workout option will take your energy away but give you skill points that you could then use to level up your character. And there's also minigames and the opportunity to complete dark matches to get bonus skill points. The minigames are quite varied Mario Party style, and we got a trophy for completing our first one. The trophies I'm going to focus on here are to go for food 16 times, to do 30 intense trainings, and to do 5 minigames. So between each match, that's what I'm doing. In our first match on Dynamite, we took on Eddie Kingston, and at this point I was starting to get used to the controls, so it was getting quite easy. I'm not sure if I was playing on easy or not. Basically every match was easy, and I'll let you know if there was a hard one in particular. I think we got put against Eddie Kingston because we eliminated them in the Battle Royale, so this will change on different playthroughs who you're going to team with. So we had our match with Eddie Kingston and became friends with him, but for some reason we lost our luggage at the airport. Every week you'll be in a different city, so you'll be in LA, Vegas, Orlando, and in each city there's a certain t-shirt you have to buy. So basically as I was playing through the game, I was always checking the shop and making sure I was buying a t-shirt. In our second match we were put in an official tag team with Kingston, and we won the match, proving we can work well together. Then our third match we got a #1 contendership shot against Sting and No More BS Paul White, which we won quite easily. But for some reason we'd lost our luggage again. At this point we unlocked the opportunity to compete on Dark, which I didn't do much in this playthrough, but it will be important later on. I also had to look at the skills that I could buy for my character, and I realised there's some trophies tied to these abilities, so I thought I may as well just use these while I'm playing through and get them out of the way. As we reached the end of our first block, we got put in a tag team match with best friends, but because my luggage got lost I had to wrestle in normal clothes. I started off the match using the Guardrail offense, basically over and over again to get the trophy, and then we worked together to win the tag team titles. Even though we had worked well as a team, Eddie Kingston revealed that he was the one that was stealing our luggage. It seemed like our character didn't like that. And this is one of my issues with this mode. There's no kind of repercussions to this. We obviously won the titles, but we just vacate them afterwards, and that's the story over, and it just moves on. And it's the same, like each block is self-contained, and it doesn't interact with other blocks. Moving on to Full Gear, we got put in the Dance with Death storyline. I think it's kind of random what storyline you get put in. There probably are ways to force a certain one, but I couldn't work that out myself. We completed our 5th minigame, which meant I wasn't doing these anymore. I was mainly just focusing on dining and the workouts. While we were out for food, MJF started mouthing off to us, and in the first week on Dynamite we defeated Wardlow with MJF at ringside. We actually used his own finisher against him, which was get us a trophy, but it took so long to pop just because we had to go through a bunch of cutscenes. So after the match, MJF attacked us from behind, but the Phoenix came out to save us. Afterwards, Pac basically gave us a trial match to join Death Triangle, and we got to choose which member we wanted to tag with, and we chose him. And then finally the trophy for stealing Wardlow's finisher popped. This is just a rundown of what I was doing week to week. Going for food to get my energy up, intense workout, go for food, intense workout, and then do the match. Now teaming with Pac, we beat Cody and Dustin. We then unlocked the opportunity to wrestle on a Rampage, which is just the same as Dark but you get more skill points. Then Penta took us out for dinner. On the next episode of Dynamite we got the official offer to join them, and we said yes, but then they turned their back on us and said we're not worthy to join them. And now the match was set for Full Gear, a singles match against Pac, which honestly doesn't sound too bad, and I think I can do it. I had just unlocked springboard moves, so I was basically just doing them at every opportunity. And of course it wasn't that simple. After about a minute of the match, Penta came out, so now it was a 2-on-1, which still seems hard, but you know, it's not that bad. But then of course, the Phoenix, the person who helped me in the first place, came out, and now it was a 3-on-1, and this match is so hard honestly. It's impossible to get a pin because the other two are always there, and as soon as you reverse a move, they'll just hit you again. This match wasn't a complete write-off because we did manage to get the springboard trophy finally, but there's just no chance I was winning this and I quickly lost. Because we'd taken so much damage in that match, we actually got injured and lost 50 energy, but even though we were injured, we now had to prepare for an exploding barbed wire deathmatch. To recover from the injury, we basically just had to pay money to go to the hospital, and then when I went for food to recover my energy, we got the trophy for going for food 16 times. And then stupidly, I went for a workout even though there's a 22% chance of getting injured, and we got injured. Again, just after we'd been to the hospital. Now, I've skipped over it, but the whole storyline of the barbed wire deathmatch block is basically just convincing them to have the match with you. So I got John Moxley to agree, and I just went to town on him. There's a trophy for basically exploding your opponent 3 times, and I didn't realise this would only pop after the match, so I was doing it over and over again, wondering why it didn't pop, so I went overboard in this match basically. Can you imagine that's how the match actually went? And now in our final block, we got placed in the Who's Ribbing Me storyline, which is all about people pulling pranks on you and you have to work out who did it. And there's the trophy for blowing up John Moxley. Now, basically throughout this whole block, things are going wrong for you. You get tiny clues to who it is, and at the last pay-per-view you can choose who you think it is. It's always me though, and I chose wrong. This is probably my least favourite storyline in the game just because it's always the exact same. And it's like playing a detective game for the second time, where you know all the clues but the game won't let you tell them until you get to the conclusion. If you choose correctly, you fight Miro, but he's already lost some health, so it's easier. And if you choose one of the other options, you have to face Miro and whoever you chose in a 2-on-1 handicap match. So this match is quite hard and I lost it. So it's quite an anticlimactic end to the Road to Elite, with me losing 2 different pay-per-view matches, with Pac involved in both. So we'd now finished the Road to Elite for the first time and got a grade of C. To get the Platinum we have to get an A+, which means we're going to have to play this again, but we have to play it 10 times anyway, so even if we don't get it, there's still plenty more opportunities. You can see in this menu there's actually only 3 different storylines for each block, which was quite disappointing because this is the only mode in the game. The idea that you could play all of it in 4 playthroughs was quite concerning. But anyway, right now we just had to focus on getting an A+ grade, and I thought who better to get that with than with Kenny Omega. Another thing I was disappointed by is that there's no special interactions based on who you play as. So for example, when I played as myself, I got the phone call from Tony Khan as if I was like a completely new wrestler, and when he plays Kenny the exact same thing happens, even though obviously there could be some back and forth there. There is a cutscene where he mentions he's the EVP, but other than that it's the exact same storyline. So anyway, now we're playing as Kenny in the Battle Royale. Obviously if you win you get a title shot, and I don't know if you noticed but we got the 2 of Spades again, and obviously I played this 10 times, you get the 2 of Spades every single time. So I don't understand, if the mode is meant to be the playable, why is there not variation in the Battle Royale, like the very first thing you do? Playing as Kenny I found this so much easier, and obviously I was used to the controls at this point, and I even found an infinite loop you can do where you just spam his dragon suplex over and over again. I don't know how they didn't find this, but it was fun. After about 20 minutes we finally eliminated Eddie Kingston, which gave us a title shot and put us in this storyline. Now I didn't get the intense workout though feel on the last playthrough, so I was focusing on it here, but obviously for the video I'm skipping through those bits just to get to the important parts. So we beat Chris Jericho at All Out and won the title. Then we got put in the Dance with Death storyline again, and we also got a trophy for winning the world title. So the Dance with Death story went the exact same as last time. We fought Wardlow, got beat up by MJF, got saved by Death Triangle, got to choose who to tag with. We took a quick break for a CM Punk match on a Rampage, just because I'm threatening to manifest Kenny versus Punk for Wembley. And after this match we got a reminder of one of the best debuts ever. Back to the storyline, we teamed with Pac against Cody and Dustin. They asked us if we wanted to join, we said yes, they said no, they attacked us. Then at Full Gear we fought all of them at the one time, but because I was playing as Kenny we actually managed to win this time. The storyline was basically the exact same, except obviously JR said we won instead of saying that we lost. And then we had a new storyline for the Evolution, Breaking Point. This storyline is basically just anything you can do, I can do better with Darby Allin. And at the pay-per-view this storyline ends with both of you facing Brian Cage for his FTW title in a ladder match. There was a trophy for winning 3 titles in one playthrough of the Road to Elite, and we just won our 2nd title. However, because we got the Challenge Yourself storyline, it wasn't possible to get 3 in this playthrough. So that'll be something we have to aim for in another playthrough. Now this final block is basically just a series of gauntlet matches, and then at the pay-per-view you'll get a world title shot. Because I already am the champion, I'm defending the title, so you can actually win another one here. But if you didn't win the Battle Royale at the start, then you can actually win the title in this block. During this playthrough I was focusing on the high intensity workouts because I still had to get that trophy, and also that gives you a lot of skill points, which gives you a higher chance of getting an A+ at the end. Yeah, I was basically just doing the intense workouts, I was doing the minigames until I unlocked Rampage, because that gives you a lot more skill points, and also you want to make sure you have your motivation really high, because that gives you a bonus to every skill point you get. Also I was pretty much spending all of my money on the energy just so I could go for more workouts. In the final week I bought this skill point booster which does exactly what you think, but the matches you do in the final week give you more anyway, so this is just a huge boost, and if you're going for the A+, I really recommend doing this. In our last chance we finally got the 30 intense workouts. It was almost time to defend our title, but first we had to face someone a bit more familiar. This is actually quite weird compared to the rest of the game, and I thought it was a cool idea. And as you can see we got a lot of skill points from this. Then we went on to defend our title, which is quite easy. 4-way matches can sometimes be quite annoying, but we managed to get the win. If you think about it, this story doesn't actually make sense, because why do we have to prove ourselves when we're the champion? You can see JR say that we got a reward of the title, but we've had the title for the whole game, so I feel like this is just like a mistake in the game, that you're not meant to get this block if you've done the first block. We'd finished our 2nd Road to Elite and managed to get enough skill points to get the A+. I'm sure there's like a proper guide out there at this point, but when I was doing this it was quite nerve wracking because I wasn't actually sure if I was doing it right. Now the only Road to Elite trophies we had left was to win 3 titles and to play it 10 times, so I was just focusing on winning the titles, but obviously if we fail we've got a lot of other chances to do it. We bought our last t-shirt, which gave us a trophy. You might have noticed I purposely eliminated myself in the Battle Royale so that we would get a tag team title shot, and the plan of action is basically win the tag titles, doesn't matter what we do for full gear, but we want to win the ladder match for the FTW title, and then finally win the AEW title in the last block. So for the third time in a row, we got the Dance with Death story. And I tried making some different choices here to see if it would change the story, but nope, it was all just the exact same. We were then placed in the relationship problems block, which you can't win a title in, so we couldn't get that trophy anymore. In this story, you basically just pick any wrestler to start a tag team with, and it ends with you fighting them and their former tag team partner in a handicap match. Then again, we got the challenge yourself story, which was the exact same, and I just wanted to test something, so I started quitting at the start of every match, and we ended up still qualifying for the title match. So the whole kind of story of this block, you need to beat all these gauntlet matches so you get a title shot, is just all fake. You can just lose every single match and still get the title shot. It just makes no sense. So because the women's roster is a lot smaller in this game, there's no split male and female career mode, it's just all the same, and you can do intergender matches, which is quite cool. So I wanted to check out if there was any female specific storylines, so we went straight into another Road to Elite to try and win the 3 titles. So this is going to be a real quick version of this Road to Elite. In the first match in Dynamite, you always get a women's title match. Then I got to join the Dark Order, which ended with a TNT title match, but unfortunately the last 2 blocks didn't have any titles associated with them, and I was just doing stories I've done before. At this point, I was getting quite annoyed because I was just doing the same thing over and over again, and I couldn't understand how to get certain storylines. So I took a break and I got some trophies in exhibition mode using a second controller. So we did some dives to outside the ring, one with a roll up, got a pin with her hands in her pockets, caught a diving attack, then reversed an Irish whip and reversed an Irish whip in the corner. And I did 5 kip-ups in the one match. Now at this point I was looking for a barbed wire bat in a lights out match, but I just couldn't find one, and you could see how many weapons there were. I found that if you go to edit your character, you can actually choose a weapon of choice, and that will be the first weapon they bring out. So I jumped back into a match against the computer and used the barbed wire bat. Now I was actually playing on Elite difficulty here, because there was a trophy for beating the computer on Elite, and because my character isn't that good, this was quite hard, so I lost and then jumped back in with Kenny, and we beat him quite easily. We also had to win a 4-way match on hard, and I thought it just made sense to pair this with winning the title, so we got 2 trophies here. Pretty much all we had left in the game now was the Road to Elite trophies. So again, I started another Road to Elite as John Moxley, and we qualified for the tag team title shot, but then this happened in the next match. Technically I'm in control of Moxley over and without, and I was basically just stuck watching the computer, and Malachi Black lost, so this whole Road to Elite playthrough was a wash, and I just quit through the matches till the end so I could start a new one. Now after many failed attempts, I finally got it as Jade Cargill. So remember, if you play as a woman, the first match on Dynamite will always be a title match, so that's an easy one and we're one down already. Then in the second block we had an Inner Circle story, which isn't tied to any titles, but that doesn't actually matter. Now if you get the Breaking Point storyline, and in the pay-per-view week you play the optional Rampage match, it doesn't tell you this anywhere, but it's actually a ladder match for the TBS title. So if you win this, it will be your second title, and you still have the FTW match the same week. And if all else fails, you might get the Challenge Yourself story in the 4th block, which means you can win the world title. Because the game auto-saves, if you lose the match, you're going to have to do the Road to Elite over again. But if you're about to lose, you can quit the game and open it back up, and it will take you back to the start of the week. There's also this item you can buy for 20,000 cash that will put you in special mode for the whole match, so you can basically just spam finishers, and this lasts for the whole week, which means you can use it for both matches. So we ended up easily winning our second title, and then doing the exact same thing in the next match and climbing the ladder to get the 3rd title. And then we ended up getting the Challenge Yourself storyline anyway, so we actually had the opportunity to get 4 titles in this playthrough. And now in this mode, all we had left is to complete it 10 times, and I wasn't actually sure how many times I completed it, but I basically just went through trying to see if there was anything I'd missed. I wanted to see if there was anything different if you played it as Sting, but like I said, it's the exact same, and again, you always get the 2 of spades. I don't know why, that seems like the easy thing to randomise to give it more variation. But finally, we'd finished Road to Elite for the 10th time, and we only had a few more trophies to clean up. First off, we had to play a match as 50 different wrestlers, and we also had to complete 100 matches. So the best way to do this was just to use the second controller and pin John Moxley over and over again. After about 10 to 15 minutes of this, we got both trophies. And now finally, all we had left to do was to get a 7-star match, and it was actually quite funny because looking at forums, the main tactic for this is to play as Kenny and spam the Dragon Suplex over and over again in a Battle Royale, and I'm guessing because you're doing so many signatures and finishers, the game likes that and they think it's a good match. So you basically just do this for about 20 minutes, and apparently this is what Dave Meltzer thinks a 7-star match is. And then almost like fate, our final opponent was CM Punk, who actually did put up quite a bit of a fight and I thought we might lose, but no, we were fine, we got him in this infinite loop. So we knocked out Punk, and Meltzer broke the scale once again.
What an amazing match we had tonight.
And now for a bit of an anticlimactic finish. I thought getting the 7 stars would give us enough challenges for the trophy, but we still needed one more. So I set a badge for my online profile, which gave me the last challenge I needed for the last trophy I needed for the Platinum. So at this point I was going to say that I'd accidentally got the fastest Platinum, but somehow someone's done it in 5 hours, so I'm second place now. Overall, I would say the game is just fine. There's not really much to do in it, and it is a full price game, so I just wish there was more content, you know? And there's a lot of people that aren't in the game that I feel like should be. They have said they're going to support the game for a while and add more to it, and the Battle Royale mode actually does look fun. So hopefully in about a year or so I'll still be coming back to play this, but to be honest I don't actually see that happening. Also, if you missed the last video, I'm doing the alphabet challenge this year, so obviously we're going to use AEW Fight Forever for A.